Hi, it's Dwyer. The Sunday after the Saturday night fight between Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia. I'm dealing with the hiccups, but we're going to hiccup our way through this video. But first, remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, let me just say, this is a must-watch fight. This is why we watch boxing. Right? Gervonta Davis won this fight really based on a mental edge. His experience showed. His strategy showed. I can't say Gervonta Davis has more talent than Ryan Garcia. The fight was on the table for Ryan Garcia. But Ryan Garcia, at this stage of his career, is simply too young to be dealing with a guy at the top of his game who is a cagey vet. Right? Garcia just has not been in the ring as much as Gervonta Davis. He just doesn't know how to drive the car like an experienced driver. Now, let me just say this too. During the telecast, you actually get really A-plus level analysis by Al Bernstein. Bernstein's a great announcer as it is. He's on his game and he's trying to be polite in talking about the fight, but he sees things that Ryan Garcia is not doing. Let's talk about them here. Let me also point out, too, that don't get me wrong, Garcia does a lot of things right. Right? I was watching this fight. We get to before the first knockdown, and you could tell Garcia was completely certain in his mind that he was going to win this fight, and he's the one walking down Gervonta Davis. So in terms of mindset, determination, you understood. Ryan Garcia was locked in. Let me point out, too, that when Garcia gets knocked down, there is no embarrassment. Right? He gets right back in the saddle the very next round. Right? He gets off the canvas immediately. He's ready to go. He understands at this level of the sport, you're going to have George Foreman, Ron Lyle type fights where guys hit the canvas. Right? That's just the way it goes. That's part of the price of admission. But let's talk about a few concepts here. I'm going to throw out some concepts first, then we'll talk about what Garcia didn't do in the fight. Now, a guy with a great left hook was at the fight last night. He's in the ring before the fight. Floyd Mayweather. Right? Spectacular left hook. People who claim Floyd couldn't punch obviously weren't paying attention to his left hook. Now, he was fighting a then unbeaten Ricky Hatton. And understand, Floyd backs up over by the ropes. Ricky Hatton comes in because Ricky Hatton is like a shark going after red meat in water. Right? Ricky Hatton sees Floyd backing away over by the ropes and thinks, this is my opportunity. Right? I don't have to worry about all the movement that I have to deal with in the middle of the ring. Here he is by the ropes. He's where I want him. This is my moment. I'm going for it. So as Ricky Hatton jumps in against Floyd, and folks, all of these fights are on YouTube. As he jumps in against Floyd, Floyd throws a check left hook. If you have a great left hook, these are the moments you live for. He has Ricky Hatton over-aggressive, jumping in on him. This was a trap. This is exactly what Floyd wanted. He hits Hatton with that left hook. Hatton never regains his balance. Hatton is diminished. The fight, for all intents and purposes, is over. Now, Al Bernstein makes a point here, and we need to lead with it because it's lost a little bit in the telecast. Right? He's in a three-man booth. Moro's there. Abner Maris is there, right? But understand, the KG vets, the older guys, the experienced guys, the thinking fighters. Gervonta Davis, for example, was aware of this. To throw a check left hook, you have to set it up. You have to have the other guy come to you. You have to have the other guy walk into it. Now, Al Bernstein is pointing out that Ryan Garcia is too front foot heavy in this fight. He's coming forward. He's giving away the opportunity to throw a check left hook. Here you have a guy who is an elite left hooker. Without check left hook opportunities, in part because the guy he's fighting, Gervonta Davis, and folks, it's breathtaking. It's breathtaking. Gervonta Davis, believe it or not, in this fight, is on his back foot. It's as if he's giving Ryan Garcia the keys to the car and saying, okay, player, let's see you drive it. This is not a matchup where both guys need to be alpha. Right? This is not Ron Lyle, George Foreman, or Iran Barkley, Nigel Benn. Right? This isn't, hey man, I own the pocket. You're in my yard. Let's go at it. No, this isn't that. And it's shocking, quite frankly. The second round is the round to look at. Gervonta Davis, the slugger, the guy with the higher KO percentage, is on his back foot. And folks, it's all lateral movement. It's left, it's right. He's moving around. Ryan Garcia is chasing him. The check left hook opportunity's out the window because Gervonta Davis is not foolish enough to be diving in on Ryan Garcia's left side. Let me point out, too, that while he's backing up, while he's showing you lateral movement, right? Imagine watching a Mike Tyson fight, and suddenly Mike Tyson's backing up, showing you lateral movement, letting the other guy be the hunter, right? Davis is periodically sticking his right hand out. He's a southpaw, to make sure that he has the spacing right. Right? This is like Tyson Fury in the rematch against Deontay Wilder. Right? You literally see, this is Davis, while he's backing up at times, sticking his hand out, making sure he knows the spacing on that left hook, which Ryan Garcia throws too much. So it's interesting because while he's backing up, and understand, it's high risk. At times he's backing toward corners. Ryan Garcia comes in and is hyper-aggressive to the point where Davis, in the second round, and that's the round to watch, turns to the referee during a clinch and complains to the referee that Ryan Garcia has hit him in the back of the head. Folks, that's a serious infraction. Because understand, your brain is exposed back here. You could get seriously hurt. So while Davis is complaining to the referee, Garcia, who's too aggressive, roughs him up during the clinch. You see Garcia hitting him with shots as Davis is trying to complain to the referee. So believe it or not, it's just moments later, with Davis ducking under, he has it timed, ducking under Ryan Garcia's left hook. It's just moments later that Davis ducks under a left hook. You need to see the full exchange, not just the punch. Davis, who has been beta to Garcia's alpha, right? Garcia's looking like Alexis Arguello at times. He's just walking down Davis. Davis ducks under the left hook comes across with a straight left hand, his own left hand, and it drops Garcia. In other words, Davis is losing the second round after losing the first round, but he's patient. Nothing's going to throw him off his game. This young fighter wants the pocket. Player, you have the pocket. I'll be on my back foot. Right? This guy is going to rabbit punch me. Then while I turn to the ref, he's going to rough me up during the clinch, hit me with shots. I'm not going to lose it. I'm a vet. This is boxing. Stuff like this happens. So while Garcia is throwing his heaviest artillery, Davis was prepared to come across with the straight left counter. Folks, it changes the fight. Changes the fight. Let me point out another thing too. You know, Al Bernstein, R.I.P. Al Davis, former owner of the Oakland Raiders, but Al Bernstein makes the point too, that even though Garcia has the explosive left hook, you need to set it up. You need for there to be some jabs in there. Garcia, who's fast, I still say even after this fight, where Davis showed hand speed, that Garcia has the faster hands. Right? He's a great talent, folks. Right? But Bernstein's pointing out that at this level of the game, you have to set up the left hook. So, and Garcia's a righty, Garcia needed to throw left jabs. Garcia also needed to throw some right hands. Now let me throw in my own analysis here. I know it looks sloppy to fans. I know it looks like a person's completely off balance. Sometimes you need that. Now here, Garcia's fighting a southpaw. Right? Davis's left hand is across from Garcia's right hand. That's Davis's power punch. Understand too, Garcia's already been put down by Davis by that straight left in the second round. Right? So, I'll just name a KG vet. David Hay. Big puncher with both hands. But David Hay would make it a habit of throwing a huge sweeping right hand that took him out of the frame. Now we understand Ryan Garcia's left hook is A+, and it is A+. Right? You need to think of it like Manny's straight left. You need to think of it like Deontay's straight right hand. Zhili Zhang's straight left hand. Right? Garcia's left hook is that good. But understand, he's playing against a southpaw who's killing him with left hand counters. So what Garcia needed to do, given that his left hook was too predictable early in this fight, is he needed to mix in right hands, and he needed to mix in the right hands in such a way that after he threw the right hand, he wasn't in the picture to get hit with a Gervonta Davis counter left. In other words, he needed to throw a big right hand that took him out of the picture like this. Right? Now, maybe fans think the guy looks off balance and stuff like that. Who cares? That's by design. Understand, if the right hand lands, good night, Irene. That's a big hit. If you throw the right hand and it misses, right, then you're not in position to get hit with Davis's meat and potatoes straight left. Well, Ryan Garcia, too young. Ryan Garcia neglects his right hand. You know who stops Ryan Garcia from throwing his right hand? Ryan Garcia. I mean, it's really shocking. In other words, Gervonta Davis knew that a huge percentage of Ryan Garcia's punches were going to be left hooks. He knew Ryan was going to be on his front foot, taking away whatever check left hook opportunities he had. Davis knew he could duck under the left hook, and that Garcia didn't have anything planned for after that. Right? The only real times Garcia loads up on right hands is when Davis is right in front of him and has ducked under the left hook. And then Ryan tries to come from up top with a right hand, right? That's what happens in the second round when Davis felt he got hit in the back of the head. But Garcia has no plan in the flow of the fight to throw a lot of jabs and to confuse Davis by mixing in some big right hands, right? If the fear was that if he threw the right hand, Davis, who's a great counterpuncher with that straight left, was going to counter him, then you want to throw the sweeping right hand that takes you out of the picture. Older fighters would understand this, not Garcia. Garcia wanted the highlight reel knockout. He felt his best chance to do that was with the left hook. He became predictable. So then we get to the middle rounds, and folks, Davis takes over. Right? Because, and look at the film, it's a little bit shocking, quite frankly, since Ryan Garcia is Oscar De La Hoya's protege. Since Joe Goosen has trained some guys who knew to move. Right? Understand, in rounds 3, 4, and 5, just look at the film. You're going to notice that Ryan Garcia is so determined to knock out Gervonta Davis, a guy who has not been stopped and is still unbeaten as I make this video as a professional, that Ryan Garcia has hardly any lateral movement. In other words, his idea on how to beat Gervonta Davis is to be in the pocket with him. Folks, that wasn't the best idea. Right? If I'm Oscar De La Hoya, I take him aside and I show him the last 3 rounds of my fight against Felix Trinidad, where De La Hoya is showing you his legs, is moving laterally. Right? Davis knew exactly where Ryan Garcia is going to be in rounds 3, 4, and 5, because Garcia was completely determined to be in the pocket, to somehow out-feint Gervonta Davis and to hit him with a left hook that he wasn't even setting up with a jab or right hands. Let me also make another point too. When you have a great punch, and everyone in the building knows you have the great punch, right? I'm guessing everybody in the building, certainly every boxer in the building, knew Ryan Garcia has a great left hook, right? You have to get the other fighter in transition. You have to get the other fighter out of their half-court game. You have to use some movement, some lateral movement, to move the pocket, to have the other guy who knows you have a great left hook, who's trained himself to deal with your left hook, who's prepared. You have to force him to move his feet to try to catch up with you, right? To change the dynamic so that a guy who knows you have a great left hook might be out of position because you have him changing position by having lateral movement, right? Maybe out of position to block it when you throw it. You can't just stand in front of the guy and rely on feints and hope that the guy somehow, off a feint forgets about your left hook. Understand, here you see Gervonta Davis literally sticking his hand out, making sure that if Ryan Garcia throws the left hook, he has a hand up where the left hook's going to have to go through the hand before it gets to his head. Gervonta Davis has the left hook timed to the point where he's ducking under it completely. So what you needed to do was to move. Force Gervonta Davis to move. Change the angles. Right? If you're heavy on your front foot, sometimes you have to be on your back foot. Just to change the angles, change the strategy. So as the other guy comes forward, you might be able to throw a check left hook like Floyd did against Ricky Hatton, or you might be able to step forward, confuse him, throw the right hand in such a way that the guy can't counter you. Folks, the lateral movement is missing from Ryan Garcia's game in the middle of this fight. Look at the film. Right? Understand, a big puncher, if you're fighting a Gervonta Davis, if you're fighting a big puncher, if you're fighting Mike Tyson, there are better places to be in the ring than in the pocket with the guy. You have to move the pocket. I didn't think Ryan Garcia moved the pocket that much. So then we get to round 6. And believe it or not, Ryan Garcia starts throwing right hands. It's better late than never, right? Why not start throwing meaningful right hands 6 rounds into the fight? And they land. Right? Gervonta Davis is so keyed on the left hook that he gets hit with some right hands. But here again, a KG vet wouldn't go right hand happy. Right? A KG vet would land a couple of right hands, give Gervonta something to think about, and then take a step back. Right? Have the reset. Try to set it up so Gervonta's thinking about a few things. Then maybe your chances of landing your Sunday punch, the big left hook, increase exponentially. Well, Ryan Garcia starts throwing a right hand in the 6th round, starts moving a little bit in the 6th round. Unfortunately, by then, Gervonta Davis had knocked him down in the 2nd round, won the 3rd, won the 4th, won the 5th round. In other words, Gervonta Davis on the scorecards, and I haven't looked at the actual scorecards, should have been a few rounds ahead. In the 7th round, they go to Steve Farhood's unofficial scorecard. He has Gervonta Davis up by 3 rounds. Folks, that's not the position an opponent wants to be in, especially when Gervonta, in addition to knocking him down, is actually outboxing him. So in the 7th round, you know what happens. Ryan Garcia comes out. He's back in front of Gervonta Davis. Eventually, he throws a heavy a heavy left hand, right? Left hook. Gervonta ducks under it. He knows where to find Ryan Garcia's body. It's right in front of him. It's right in front of him. So this time, Gervonta, after ducking the left hook, right, both knockdowns come right after left hooks, right, after ducking the left hook. And you see the promise of Ryan Garcia by the speed of the left hook he throws in that 7th round right before getting stopped. Gervonta Davis throws a counter straight left. Right, folks? I'm sure everyone at the arena knew that Gervonta Davis is very skillful in throwing counter straight lefts. Ryan Garcia was unprepared for it. He gets hit with the body shot. There's a delay. When you see a delay, when a guy gets hit with a body shot, then the guy goes down, you know that guy's been badly hurt, right? Whether it's Oscar against Bernard Hopkins, whether it's Nonito Donaire against Inoue, right? The fighter who gets hit, backs up a few feet, then hits the canvas, is badly hurt. Garcia could not continue. Now, I suspect this fight is going to be a different fight if these guys have a rematch in 3 years. Right? I suspect that Joe Goossen now is going to have the ear of his fighter in training. When Goossen, who again, trained people like Michael Nunn. In other words, guys who knew how to move, guys who were slick in the ring, guys who were nice in the ring, right? Guys who weren't just tethered to the pocket trying to knock you out with their best punch, but who actually had a plan B, a plan C, who actually had a setup to their best punch, and who knew how to hit you in such a way where they weren't in the picture for the counter. Right? I'm guessing Goossen, great trainer, is going to have his fighter's attention. Right? We understand Garcia's a major talent. Understand, too, this was a fight between two sluggers. This is a different part of boxing than, let's say, the part inhabited by Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, Vasily Lomachenko, right? 3 big names at 135, right? Understand the neighborhood at 135 and 140 where Devin Haney, just size-wise, is going to have to end up, has a lot of slick boxers. Guys who are in there thinking, let me win rounds. In this fight, even when Gervonta Davis was winning on the scorecards, right? And he, to me, takes over the fight after the knockdown in the second round. You didn't get the feeling either of these guys thought this fight was going the distance. In other words, both of these guys were trying to hit home runs, not singles. Right? Completely different mindset. Let me just say, if Ryan Garcia was trying to walk down Gervonta Davis, right, and just look at the start of the second round, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I couldn't imagine him doing anything else against, let's say, a Devin Haney. Right? Expect a lot of fireworks, quite frankly, at 135 to 140. Right? Because while you have some of the best boxers in the game, right? Shakur Stevenson, Lomachenko, they're gifted boxers. Right? The question is whether they can box and stay away from heavy hitting types like this for 12 rounds. Right? Ryan Garcia, I'll just say this. Gervonta Davis is lucky he had a punch, because you wouldn't want to deal with this version of Ryan Garcia for 12 rounds. Right? Garcia was hunting him down. So as I look at 135 to 140, right? In Regis Prograis, I see you. Juan Carlos Ramirez, I hear you. Understand, while the public thinks it's a done deal, right? While pretty boys, slick fighters, are in the front of the public's imagination, right? We're hearing that Devin Haney is undisputed at 135, right? Does that matter if he's in the ring with Gervonta Davis or Ryan Garcia? Right? Does he have the punch to drop either of them? That's a big question. Right? That's a big question. Let me just say, obviously Devin Haney is more skilled, more technical than Ryan Garcia. But let's just say Haney would have to be on his bike for some of those rounds, right, to win that fight. He would have to be prepared to go 12 to win that fight. And I say that right after seeing Ryan Garcia knocked down for the second time in his career. Right? Understand, for the second time in his career, Garcia immediately got off the canvas. For the second time in his career, Garcia continued to press the action. Right? A lot's going on, folks, at 135 to 140. Let's pay close attention. Right? This version of Ryan Garcia was outmatched, outclassed by Gervonta Davis. Right? Garcia didn't even think about making the job difficult for Davis to find him. Right? I'm sure Davis was sitting there thinking, wow, this guy is still in the pocket. Wow, this young guy is completely neglecting his jab, and he thinks that that's effective boxing. Wow, this young guy isn't even throwing right hands. I'm sure in the 6th round, when Davis got hit with a couple of right hands, he thought, wow, the guy's throwing right hands now. Right? This version of Ryan Garcia will improve. I think Davis showed you why, quite frankly, he's at the center of the universe at 135 to 140. Right? I'm not sure. Let's be blunt here. I'm not sure he beats Regis Prograis. Right? I'm not. I'm also one of those people who is looking at that Josh Taylor, Teofimo Lopez fight, both of those guys, and hoping that at least one of those guys gets their edge back. Right? Both guys seem to have decayed a bit since their heyday. Right? Folks, it's loaded. I don't think we know who's king at 135 to 140. Right? I do like Lomachenko over Haney. I do think Shakur Stevenson would beat Lomachenko. Right? But understand, those are battles among guys who don't have the punching power of either Ryan Garcia or Gervonta Davis. Right? So there are going to be some big money fights. There are going to be some big names. Right? Someone is going to end up on top. Right now, it's unclear, but I will say this. While Gervonta Davis is a cagey vet with a highly technical mental approach, Ryan Garcia, it's clear from this fight, is still figuring things out. That's the fight I saw. Let me hear about the fight you saw. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this YouTube video. Let me also add too, I mentioned Oscar De La Hoya in this video. Understand, Oscar De La Hoya, great left hook. Just like Ryan Garcia, great left hook. But Oscar understood that he needed to use his legs. Oscar understood the value of lateral movement. Ryan Garcia is still figuring that out. I look forward to your comments. Thanks for stopping by.